PCOS saved me from bad decisions that I could have made in my life. What's up, UTT family? Thank you all for tuning in. Welcome to Unlearn to Transform podcast. Thank you for tuning in to this episode. This is the first episode. Well, we are here. So before we get into the podcast, I just wanted to remind you all that if you have a small business that you would like to be promoted, you can email the podcast at unlearntotransformpodcast@gmail.com. And that way that you can get a small business shout out. Cool, right? So before we get into the topic of this particular episode, what I want to do is I want to say some affirmations, just so that way that we can pour into ourselves while we are also pouring into ourselves throughout this podcast, right? So let's go ahead and start with an affirmation. I'm just going to do a quick little shuffle, and I'm just going to pick a random card. So let's go ahead. This one is kind of sticking out. Healing journey. This is pretty good. Healing journey. I am on a journey of healing, and I embrace every step of it. I release the past with compassion and forgiveness, and I am grateful for the lessons it taught me. I am whole and complete as I am. This is perfect, y'all. Healing journey. This is the season that we in. We are in our healing journey. That is the point of Unlearn to Transform podcast. And this definitely resonates with me. It definitely does. Right now, I am on my healing journey, and I've healed so much that I didn't think that I needed this much healing. I didn't think that there were things that were rooted in me that needed to be uprooted. I didn't know that I was battling insecurities. I was battling attachment issues. I was battling all these things. And throughout this journey, God has just been revealing pieces after pieces after pieces of me that needs to be revealed, needs to be uprooted, and needs to be learned. Sometimes we just go throughout life without learning ourselves, without actually taking the time to get to know ourselves. And once you get to know yourself, you're able to move confidently throughout this journey because you know you, and can't nobody tell you who you are, right? All right, y'all. So I love those freaking cards. So we're going to do that every episode before we get into the actual topic. So on this week's episode, it is called It Runs in My Family. Now, I'm pretty sure we all hear this all the time. It runs in my family. That runs in your family. Like, we always hear that, but do it really run in your family, or are you choosing to believe a curse? It could be a curse. It could be a generational curse that you are choosing to believe in. So we have to be mindful of what we say. I'm always saying, just like I read a book, I can't remember what it's called, but be impeccable with your words. Okay, be impeccable with your words, because some of the things that you may say, you may be rooting bad beliefs. You may be rooting bad things within yourself, and you don't even know it. You're just saying stuff. So when you do say stuff, make sure you're speaking life. Make sure you're speaking positivity into yourself, into people, into things, because the universe don't know no jokes. The universe don't know no lies, no nothing like that. It only knows what you say. Okay? So it runs in my family. So I'm going to give a little bit of background about this particular topic, so that way if you read the title, you already know what it's going to be about. So it runs in my family. When I was a little girl, my dad, he used to always have sugar at the bottom of the fridge. At the bottom where the fruit and the vegetables supposed to go. In our household, that's where the candy was. That's where the gummies were. That's where the fruity candies were. That's where the cookies were. Any type of sugar, cakes, anything like that, that was at the bottom of that drawer. And we used to just go to our dad and say, "Daddy, can we have this? Daddy, can we have that?" And him just loving his children, He used to say, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead, but my mama used to be like, did they eat? And my mother, when she used to work 2 jobs, she used to bring home donuts every single morning. And me and my sister, we just thought that we was rich, honey. We was like, our mama bring us donuts every morning, So that's just a little background about us and sugar, my family and sugar, honey. So that just goes into from childhood to teenager, right? I started to develop hormones. So what I was experiencing was, number 1 was irregular cycles, okay? Number 2, overgrown excessive hair. I used to grow hair here. I used to grow hair here. And I've always had a problem with losing weight. Like, I wouldn't say that I was a big child, like I was overweight, but I always had like a little pudge at the bottom. And it's like, it doesn't matter what activity I was doing. It doesn't matter if I was running track, if I was on a dance team, if I was doing anything that was active, I always had that pudge at the bottom. And I never understood why, okay, until I got older. So what I was experiencing as a childhood, also the sugar cravings. I've always craved sugar. It's always been a craving. I would rather eat sugar over food, So we said the excessive hair, the irregular cycles, hard to lose weight, pudge at the bottom, right? Also, I used to have a hard time with staying focused, like staying focused and completing tasks, and that is something that I battled with throughout my life. Like I would start a project and the project would go well, but I would never see it through. I will always jump from here, jump from here, jump from here, jump from here. This got a website, this got a website, this got a website, this got a website. So that is something that I also battle with as a child. Like I will be in a sport or do something and I'll just be uninterested. I do something else, be uninterested. So that was something else. And you would think that, okay, this is because it's a child. Children becoming uninterested in things, but not knowing that there are underlying factors that contributed to my mindset being like that. Okay. I also had emotional issues. Now, some of that had a lot to do with trauma, things that I was experiencing as a child. But as I became an adult, my emotions became uncontrollable to the point where I would be like, oh, why am I crying? Why am I agitated? Why I just don't want to be bothered with nobody? You know what I'm saying? And not knowing that was another contributing factor. Now, when I became a teenager, let's say we're going to start from teenager and then we're going to progress to early 20s, right? So as a teenager, when I used to go to family gatherings, I used to notice that the women in my family had little hair, little mustache, were gaining weight in the midsection, like big right here, but nowhere else. And I used to think, oh, okay, that runs in my family. Like that is what I'm going to be looking like, in the future if I don't, take care of myself or do things to not look like that. But I'm thinking that that's normal, So I'm thinking, okay, me having hair, is okay because women are hairy. I'm not the only hairy woman, so I would just do like preventative measures of like shaving, plucking, waxing, things like that. Okay. So also, I used to deal with hyperpigmentation really bad in my teens to my 20s. When I say like I used to have black spots, and then it used to be really bad right here. Like I used to always get like a bumps underneath my chin line. And I was like, dang, like that is weird. I used to get it on my chin or on my cheeks. And then I'm like, okay, is it because that is where the hair is growing? Or is that just an underlying fact of like, I'm just being a teenager and I just have acne, right? So all of these things, it did not make sense until I got older. Okay. So let's go from early 20s to mid 20s. Now, during this age range, now I'm in a relationship. Okay. I'm in a 4-year relationship. And at that time, I had the mindset of when I turn 25, I want to be married and I want a kid. I want babies. So at that time, I was trying to get pregnant. I had a hard time getting pregnant. I would go to the doctor. My doctor would like, catch your period. But I'm like, my period is not coming on time. It just got to the point, y'all, where my period wouldn't come for 3 months at a time, 2 months at a time, 4 months at a time. And I'm like, what is going on with my period? It got to the point where I was wasting so much money on pregnancy tests. Like, it was crazy. Like, I'm like, every month I'm buying a pregnancy test. Like, what's going on? Because, your period symptoms are the same as your pregnancy symptoms. So I'm like buying pregnancy tests, just trying to make sure, am I pregnant? Am I not? Because I was trying at that time. So not knowing that at that time, it just wasn't the time to do that, and I am so grateful that I waited or that my body made me wait or that God made me wait for that, because mentally I was not prepared to be a mother. I had a lot of healing, a lot of growing, a lot of wisdom that I needed to obtain before I became a mother. So I'm so happy and so grateful that that happened in my 20s, because it really protected me. And I'll get more into that in further down in the episode. But now I'm realizing some insecurities about myself. I'm like, oh, I can't gain weight. And I did not understand back then why she was saying the things that she was saying. And sometimes when people tell you something that you don't want to hear and it hurts your feelings and things like that, to the point where you take it personal instead of thinking logically and looking in the mirror and saying, you know what, maybe I am gaining some weight. And I did not understand back then, but then I understood once I progressed into another relationship and a relationship with myself. I after that particular relationship, I started to focus on having a relationship with Victoria. So I focused on losing the weight, focused on bettering my health, and focusing on asking the question, why? Now I am rolling into another relationship. So I went single for a few years. And then after that, I rolled into another relationship to where this particular person said, hey, I'm good, love. I love this man. I'm good, love. Focus on yourself. Focus on yourself and doing things for you. And so I did. So now this is how God's work. So it's like once you start aligning your energy towards healing and things like that, stuff starts to be revealed to you. So my mom, she said, hey, do you have a primary health care doctor? And I'm like, no. I said, I just have my regular OB that I go to. Go in, check, see if everything ticking and talking, and then I'm gone. She was like, no, I need you to get a healthcare doctor. And I said, okay, because mind you, I done gave up on trying to get pregnant now. The last relationship, that was my focus. At this point, I done gave up on getting pregnant, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to be the rich auntie and live my best life. So I travel, have fun, and you see how all of that worked out, So now I wasn't even focusing on getting pregnant. I was just focusing on healing me and healing my body and figuring out why certain things happen, So it's like once you start aligning your energy with that, then the universe is going to start giving you downloads of what to look for and what to do, right? So I found, she actually recommended a doctor. I made an appointment, and then I actually went that same week. They took my blood, and then later on, I waited for my results, and then they revealed to me that I was insulin resistant, vitamin D deficient, and I was on the borderline of being pre-diabetic. And I'm like, what? So they recommended a keto diet, and they recommended a Mediterranean diet as well. So I actually went the keto route because I had did that before in college. So Mind you, I'm like, I'm like worried, because it's like, wow, like I was already doing things to heal myself, but for these to come up within my blood, like that really made me start overthinking, and red flags and alarms started going off in my head. So now I'm like, okay, so the doctor recommended that I get some vitamin D pills that are like 5,000 UI, and again, recommended the diet. So I started implementing those things, and this did make me feel a little better, but it's like I felt something was telling me that, and I should have asked, but I didn't because I was so focused on the symptoms, but I should have asked, what does this mean altogether? So when I got home, I started Googling, and what came up was polycystic ovary syndrome. And I'm like, PCOS, what is this? So now I'm looking into YouTube video. You see how stuff start to get revealed to you? So now I'm looking into YouTube videos. I'm looking at TikToks. I'm looking at Facebook. I'm looking at everything, doing all my research on what is PCOS. What is it? So PCOS is when a woman has high level of male hormones. When I read that, I said, I am not a man. I am not a man. I got all my body parts. I am not a man, and it is something it can be managed. It can be reversed, and if it gets out of hand, it also says that 51 million women in the US have PCOS. And that's not even including the women who are misdiagnosing it, who are okay with, oh, my periods are just irregular. Oh, I'm just overweight. Not really knowing the actual symptoms and signs of PCOS. This is the most uneducated topic that I know of. I wasn't taught about this in high school. My family is not aware of what PCOS is. And if they was, I didn't know about it. I never seen any woman that, treated that or said anything about that. So this is why it's important to, when you are, and let me go back to my insecurities. At that time in that season, I said, God, help me work on my insecurities. One was I had a gap. Okay, I went and got braces. Another was the pudge in the hair. Okay, now it's being revealed to me that I have PCOS. So it's like now it's to the point where now that you have this information, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to let it control you? Or are you going to do what you can to manage it? And I said, I'm going to manage this thing. So I ended up taking multivitamins, taking my vitamin D, taking a whole lot of supplements that I looked up on regulating my hormones, and it worked. You want me to let you know how I work? I ended up getting pregnant. I ended up getting pregnant, and it was crazy because I was like, am I pregnant? And I was, so this goes back to, it runs in your family. Do not take that curse on, because I used to think that it ran in my family when it didn't run in my family. My family was just uneducated about what that was. And that's a lot of the limiting beliefs, things that were rooted within our family that was uneducated. It was an uneducated belief. That's why you should ask yourself these questions. That's why you should ask why. That's why you should ask why. That's why you should read. That's why you should do your research for yourself. And maybe you can educate them as well. Maybe you can. You never know, right? So once I figured out this information, I'm like, okay, I'm pregnant, and it was a great experience, it was a great experience. It was something new. Honestly, it was something new. But let's backtrack. It runs in my family, right? So I used to deal with uncontrollable hunger, and I didn't understand why. All of these things, I did not understand why. Why am I going through these things? And I have a sister. So I used to always compare myself to her. Like, she got the good genes. She didn't have none of these problems. Like my mama, she didn't have none of these problems. I had these problems, and it really used to bother me mentally, because when she would eat, she would never gain weight. When I eat, it stays on me, So it's like, now I am in position in my life to where I am choosing to be more disciplined and more obedient to my body and to myself. So it's like, now I know certain foods, because I am a foodie and I love food, and I feel like, okay, I chose this body for a reason. I really feel like we choose our body. We choose what vessel that we choose to be in, right? That's just what I believe, and I really feel like I chose this body because it's going to teach me discipline. It's going to teach me consistency. It's going to teach me obedience to get to where I need to be. And that is what I'm going to be doing in this lifetime. So my body fits my journey. My body fits my journey. So although I'm doing those things to my body, I also need to walk in that same mindset with my journey. Being consistent, being disciplined, being obedient. That is where I'm at. So it's like, I love donuts and pancakes, but I can't eat that. I love a Snicker and M&Ms. I can't eat that. I love pasta. I can eat that, but it has to be more of a plant-based diet, which it's so resourceful. Like, we are in a really good time to where, instead of using social media it's really digital media, because people rarely be social on there. It's really digital media. But instead of using social media to, just be mindlessly scrolling, I'm the type of person, I use it to educate myself. I look up something and see what it's about. Look up something, see what it's about. And then I don't only take that, I do my own research. I do my own research to make sure it is accurate, that it is true. So you should do that to yourself. Use it as a tool to educate yourself. Because I'm a type of person, I'm a visual learner. I'm a watch you do it learner. I'm also a read about it learner. I could read it and learn. So it's like, I could listen to it and learn. So it's like, you have to do what's best for you to better yourself. So instead of settling for those beliefs, instead of settling for that curse, because that's all it is. This is something that goes from generation to generation to generation to generation. So instead of just accepting that belief, be the one that change it. Be the one that change it and plant something new. That is what we're doing. We're pulling it up, looking at it, throwing it away. If it's useful, if it's not, if it's useful, we put it back in. If it's not, we throwing it away, and we planting something new, because our children need something different, something new. Okay. So I really hope that this helps someone, because our body is our temple. It is. So instead of laying down and believing what someone tells you or believing what you see, do your research, And like I said, it started from me changing my energy, because at first I was complaining about it. I wasn't doing anything about it. I was complaining about it. I was talking about it. I was looking at myself. But then I pivot my energy to, what is it? What can I do to change it? What do I need to do to change it? Okay? And I want you to think about this too. Is your body meant for your journey? Are you being self-aware about your body? Are you? Do you look in the mirror? How do you feel when you look in the mirror? Are you in love with the person that you see? Or are you like, I don't like this about myself. I don't like that about myself. And you turn that I don't like to, what can I do? How can I change it? What do I need to do to get to that point where I can look in the mirror at myself and look at my body and what it's doing and be like, I love my body and I'm happy with what it is doing. Because although I said those things about the symptoms and having PCOS saved me from bad decisions that I could have made in my life. It saved me from being tied to someone with a child, being tied to someone with a child who was only temporary in that season in my life, who was only a lesson, not my blessing. So it really saved me. Because I could have been in a situation to where I was with someone and they don't even want to be around me. We're not even getting along with each other. So I just thank God, I'm so thankful for my body. I'm so thankful for what I chose for myself. Because now I'm starting to understand. And now I'm moving relentlessly now. I'm moving. Because I don't have time to worry about what I don't like anymore. Now I'm tired of complaining about it. Now I'm ready to action. Because your action is going to align with your manifestation. Once you start moving towards what you are manifesting, your manifestation is going to flourish into existence. So let's pivot our energy. Let's pivot our energy in this season, and it's okay. It's okay to not like certain things about your body or yourself. What's not okay is staying in that energy, staying there when you belong higher than that energy. When you stay there, years go by quick. Years flying by and you still in the same energy of I don't like this about me. I don't understand this about me. Why am I like this? Put forth the actions. Get to work. Because your purpose is waiting on you. We were all called here for a purpose. This platform is to help declutter your mind of beliefs that are poisonous to your purpose. That's what it's for. So as we go along, we're going to go from different type of beliefs, and some people might not know what a belief is, or they might not know if they have those type of beliefs. That is what this is for, to educate. We're going to figure it out together. Okay. So again, I just want to say thank you all for tuning in. I hope this resonates with you. And I also challenge you, if there is a belief in your family that you think run in your family, drop it in the comments below. What is something that your family said that runs in your family? Drop it in the comments. And share. Okay? We are on iHeartRadio. We are on Amazon Music. We are on Spotify, YouTube. So share the content, because you never know who you are helping. You don't know who is saying this runs in my family when they really don't. Okay? So again, this is Victoria the Coach. Make sure y'all like, comment, share. And when you drop the comment, please challenge yourself. Challenge yourself to say, you know what, I'm going to put this belief out there. Because when you put it out there, you're choosing to release it. And you don't know who you are helping. You might be helping someone to be like, dang, my family said the same thing. Let me research that. It costs $0 to write a comment. It costs $0 to like and share. Because you could be sharing it to someone who needs to hear this. And who needs to pivot in this season. Okay? Because we're all trying to get where we need to be. So thank you all for tuning in. Stay tuned for next week's episode. You don't want to miss it. And again, it's Victoria, the coach. Y'all stay blessed.